Hi guys, I'm going to show how to do the long loops and how to attach them together on the Stonepoint & Jones Summer Flowerr cover-up. And here's one already done in multicolors so that you can see where we're going with this. Sorry about the movement of my camera. I'm kind of at a makeshift table since I have construction in my house, so excuse the noises. So here's how it looks. With the flower finished. Now this will be the flower for the small, and the other sizes will have another row of these petals on them for the rest of the sizes, medium through a 3X. So don't get confused if they look slightly different. The instructions are in the pattern. They're pretty simple. When it refers to the V stitches, it means these right here. So on the medium to the 3X, you'll be putting 2 strands here in the V stitches, and on the small you'll be putting 1 loop between each of these double crochets. So they'll look pretty similar. So let me move this. Sorry about my camera moving, but this won't take very long. These are much simpler than they look. So here's my flower, and this is just one of the smaller ones. Now I have my 4 fingers ends up being exactly 2.5 inches. So your measurements are going to be either for the long loops 2.5 inches, or they're going to be 3 inches, and I just this measures exactly 3 inches. So I just moved my my cushion for my 5 hook to an exact 3 inches, but measure each and every loop. So the starting off is the same as all of them. Whether you're slip stitching to between, you're going to slip stitch to begin to between the double crochets or in the V stitches, whichever you're instructed to do. And so I've already made a loop, so I'm going to, now I don't have any loops on my hook, so I dropped, so I'm going to insert my hook, and I'm going to pull up a loop, and then I'm going to chain, and I chain twice or you chain once. I'm a little awkward with this, so I do 2 chains to keep it from slipping, so it only slips one way a little bit, and then I pull up a loop, and this is going to be 2.5 inches, so I use this to measure. If it wasn't going to be 2.5 inches, I would use a ruler or measuring tape, or like I did, measure this out and move this to exactly 3 inches, but you will be measuring each and every one. So mine is 2.5 inches, and this just happens to be 2.5 inches. And then, easy enough, when you pull that up, you double check, make sure you haven't measured, and then very carefully use this tail and the loop to make a nice and secure knot. And there's your loop. Okay, and the next one is exactly the same. You're going to go in this space, whichever space it tells you to. You're going to pull up a loop, and you can crochet one, chain one. I chain twice just to make it extra secure. They look kind of delicate and fragile, and they are not. This will hold up, it'll just move around and fix itself. So here's my measurement, or if it were 3 inches, I would measure it along here. Just you can always just cut yourself a piece of cardboard or something. You're going to use the loop and the working tail of the yarn, and you're just going to knot it. You're just going to make a knot, and then you're going to continue on to the next spot until you have them all the way around. Then I will show you what to do. And here you're going to, let's do this very slowly, sorry about that. This is the space for the, what is indicated in the pattern for, this is a size small. So you're going to pull through a loop to make yourself a loop, just like you were starting off. And then I'm going to chain twice just to anchor it really good so it doesn't move on me. And then you're going to, we still have the moving side of the thread here, or the yarn there. And then I'm going to do my measurement. Like I said, you will measure every single loop, and if you think, I tried measuring one loop against the other and it slowly changed in size on me. So I found out the hard way that that doesn't work, that it is every single loop. But if you, I mean, you've made a lot of, even though these take a little while, look, these take a little while, you still have a big part of the garment already done with all your loops. Okay, so now you have all your loops done. You'll cut this. I'm not going to bother cutting it because I don't need to show you the next part. Now, the next part is you can go anywhere on the circle. It doesn't matter where. And find yourself a loop, and I'm just going to move around to show you can go anywhere. And whether you're changing, I'm changing colors, but whether you're changing colors or not, you will need to cut your yarn at this point. Sorry about the bumping and the movement. It's a makeshift table because of the construction. So this part, let me show you. Just tie a knot. Tie a really secure knot like you would for anything. And in case you're wondering, I'm using the ZZ Twist, Line Brand ZZ Twist, because it's a really thin 4-weight, because this circle, this flower has to be a 3-weight or really thin 4-weight. Okay, so let's see if we can get this really close. Now, just like everything, we're going to pull through a loop, and then we're going to chain 2. Pull through a loop and chain 2. And on this one, I have to chain 2. Depends on what your yarn you're using. If you're switching to a 4-weight, you'll only be chaining 1 between the loops. Then you find your next loop, and I try and make sure the loop isn't twisted a lot. I find the next loop, and then I put in my hook. Let me get really close. I put in a hook, and I pull through both the long strand loop and the loop that's on my hook, just like you would a slip stitch or like you would a chain, but you're adding this in. And then I chain 2 or 1, whichever it says to do. Now I pull up another loop, or I grab another one of the long strand loops. I'm going to insert my hook, but I'm going to pretend like this isn't kind of here. So you can either call it a slip stitch or you can call it another chain. But I'm going to grab my yarn and pull through the long strand loop and the loop that's on my hook. So it's just a slip stitch motion, chain 2, and then go to my next one. Put it on my hook, as you can see, and then pull through both loops. Oh, see? And then I chain 2. Let me see if I can get this. Let me pull away just a little bit. This is all this is. This is really simple. It's just odd looking. So put this on your hook. See? And then you're going to pull through both loops on your hook, like that, like a slip stitch. And then you're going to chain 2 or 1, whichever it says, whichever yarn you're using. You're probably only going to chain 1 if you're using a 4-weight yarn. Okay, so same thing. Just make sure these these aren't twisted a bunch. And then put this on your hook. And then pull through both loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through both loops on your hook. There you have it. And chain 2. Now, this is all there is to it. You're gonna see how this lays. And once you add to the rest of the garment, you're gonna go all the way around. You're gonna chain 2 after the last one, and you're gonna slip stitch into this top stitch right here. And there's a really good picture showing you where you're gonna slip stitch to. So you're gonna attach all the loops, and there's nothing tricky. And then you're gonna, oops, let's see if it'll focus. It might not because of the white. And you're gonna slip stitch through there to attach them until you have a complete circle. Now, just a little bit on the next part. You're gonna slip stitch right to here, and you're gonna have a loop, and then you're, depending on what your instructions say, you're gonna slip stitch to the next space to begin your squares. Everything is probably, other than these long loops, is probably everything you've already done before. Now these long loops, as you can see, are just not going anywhere, and they will slip. They're supposed to slip in this top part right here. That just helps them position themselves. So if on your garment, here I'll show you. If on your garment, like you have something that looks like this and it pulls out, well, it slips through up there and it's anchored right here. So you just do this and it's not fragile at all. It will just even itself out. See, look, once you're wearing it, they look perfectly even. So that's all there is to it. And then up here, the next row will be you'll be making the squares after you attach all these strands. And the rest is trebles. You've done those before. They're just real simple treble clusters, and that's what's on the majority of the garment. Thanks.